That's inhuman of us.
So if you got this is where it would get strange too with the arguments. If you got like the really, really pure libertarian in here, they would say it's their choice to do that.
Well, no, but
right?
they'd be dead already, right? Because they wouldn't have had the Narcan in the first place, and they wouldn't have the ambulance to come there. We're interjecting, creating this.
Right.
We're giving them 20 lives. Think of these guys, burly dudes, working their ass off in the mines, hurting their body, chronic pain. What's going to save them? Booze or oxy, right? Or maybe both.
Maybe both.
How many options do you have, right, to cure that chronic pain?
Not a lot if you go to a doctor, apparently.
Apparently nothing, right? Besides some fucking magical drug we invented within the last century you got to take or you're going to be in crippling pain for the rest of your life.
That's right.
So maybe the guys before them were just slamming booze, just drinking alcohol at home after work, and that was the cure-all back then.
I don't know, man, but it's something did change there. And now, so like you said, you've been going to all these cities, though, where you just see people who are, and it's not even like a joke of a term, they're literally zombies.
Yeah,
they
people
just sit there and
will
take
hear that term and think it's a slur or a pejorative.
It's not. It's very
By any
real.
means, it's not. And what's sad about all of it, too, is the popular perspective on drug addicts, particularly people on fentanyl, bent over in this zombified state was... The way to solve this is to give them some foil, give them some needles. That's what they call harm reduction, right? Better that they do it cleanly.
Right.
So they prevent the spread of AIDS and STDs and all this stuff. And then if they want to come into rehab, when they're ready, let's bring them into rehab. Well, lo and behold, a lot of these people die before they end up in rehab. Mm-hmm. So this conception of compassion is let's help these people do drugs safely, even though there's really no... Is there really a safe way to do fentanyl? Arguably, there is not.
No, I don't think there is.
But we're going to help them use fentanyl safely. We're going to give them Narcan to revive themselves. If you talk to these people, a common question I'll ask them is, how many times have you died? I need no lead up to that. Every time they'll give me a number. Every time. And it's often greater than 1. Mm. Sometimes 5, 10, 20. Crazy numbers. These people have died multiple times, brought back to life by Narcan.
Yep.
Well, I drove up here along the East Coast. It says, always have naloxone, Narcan. Billboards promoting Narcan. So our approach to this has been harm reduction, give you this almost like a video game tool, an instant revive.
Yeah.
Rather than let's revise our conception of compassion and maybe, I don't know, put a stronger, heavier pressure on getting these people off the streets, taking the drugs out of their hands, maybe even controversially forcing them into some form of detox if we really want to save their lives. So it's like we value this bodily autonomy over their actual lives.
Yeah, I think you have a point there on that last one about like forcible
compassion allowing them
detox.
to kill themselves slowly and surely.
Yeah,
that's weird, right?
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
That's inhuman of us.
So if you got this is where it would get strange too with the arguments. If you got like the really, really pure libertarian in here, they would say it's their choice to do that.
Well, no, but
right?
they'd be dead already, right? Because they wouldn't have had the Narcan in the first place, and they wouldn't have the ambulance to come there. We're interjecting, creating this.
Right.
We're giving them 20 lives due to outside intervention, right?
They're saying give them one, and they get to choose what.
And
to
that's
do with
fair,
it.
right? Their argument is at least they're alive, but inevitably they do die.
Mm-hmm.
So we're extending the inevitable outcome, which is death for a lot of these drug addicts. And obviously, they're not just drug addicts. They're people, and that's the important point, right? These are people. So what if we encouraged them to detox, we took the drugs out of their hands, we stopped giving them needles and foil to continue using drugs, brought them into rehab, reincorporated them into society in a meaningful way, rather than just giving them needles, foil, throwing them in an apartment that ends up getting maybe trashed and they die.
It's a better outcome.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, it is.
The bigger question, though, is this fentanyl use for what used to be normal everyday people. Is that a symptom of a broader sickness in American society, right? Is the soul of America dying? Are we at the point where people are so disenfranchised and hopeless that using fentanyl and killing yourself is the best case scenario for a lot of these people? There is no brighter outcome than doing some drugs in the corner, prostituting yourself for some money to continue using drugs. until you die.
If I wanted to, let's say, and I don't know what year it is, but let's say that I'm a powerful person, better yet, I'm a powerful organization, and my long-term goal for society was to do some form of eugenics or something like that, or purify genes and also limit the population.
Sure.
And I needed to come up with a plan as to how to do that.
Yep.
I would create a false incentive for people to believe that they needed to get certain hurdles to be able to participate in the economy. And let's put an example on that. I would say, you know what? Congratulations, every 17-year-old, regardless of your aspirations or dreams. You're a loser if you don't sign this bill to go to college for $200,000 for the next 4 years, or $100,000 for the next 4 years with debt you're never going to be able to pay off in an economy that doesn't offer jobs for a lot of the degrees you're getting. I would then use that economic disenfranchisement to make sure that I crashed the economy, and on the other side allowed all the rich people to be able to invest and win their money back, while everyone else is humping themselves and realizing their 401k is now delayed an extra 20 years if they even have one. I would tell society that everything pleasurable is how they should escape. I would make gambling completely legalized and put it on their phones at all times, which I think should be something that people have the option to do, but I would make it available everywhere so that people could literally decide that's the best hope I have to make money. I would glorify the things that are strictly against work ethic and maybe glorify all party culture and things like that. And then I would tell people that actually, you know, for compassion with drugs, we have to let people do it, which would incentivize more people to do it. Because I'd also have set up a system where people are getting addicted to drugs for reasons because they trusted the fucking medical system, just like the examples I gave you a few minutes ago with opioids. When they get a fucking injury, I would create the incentives so that organizations like that could exist to allow those drugs to come into the system. I would crash society in every way, where I would take things that appeared to be me helping people or giving them pleasure, such that it is actually causing them destruction and death, and getting all of the losers of the evolutionary Darwinism gene pool out of the gene pool and accomplishing my goal of some utopian society. That's what I would do.
That was a crazy rant. That was good. I would agree. And I think that's what probably is happening to some extent. In addition to that, though, if you look up medically assisted death in Canada, I don't know if it's technically legal in this country yet, but you'll see it often used in Canada as a means of solving poverty for some people.
Yes.
So people who are disabled, let's say you got injured in the workplace, you're depressed, your medical bills are expensive. Rather than us helping you get back on your feet and find some job you can be a part of, why not fucking kill yourself? Let's just kill you. We'll help you do it. It'll be planned. We'll give you a date. You can tell your family. You can tell your friends. It'll be painless. Why not choose death? You mind if I go pee real quick?
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go. We're back. Go ahead.
Sorry, small bladder. Amidst your rant, you presented a really interesting idea. You said you would crash the economy, right?
Yes.
But by all observable metrics that I'm aware of, the economy's looking great.
What did I say after that?
You would entice people into hedonism and...
No. Well, I did say that, but I said I would crash the economy, and then in the recovery, make sure that all the people who already had money to redeploy, the rich, would be the ones that would be able to profit on the recovery and not everyone else.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. Good clarification. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, GDP's going up, stock growth off the charts, but what about real wage growth, right? How much does your dollar actually do if you're an average Joe? It's doing the same or less, from my understanding, than it was. If you take the boomers, for example, they were experiencing real wage growth in addition to the economy's growth.
Yes.
So everyone felt the growth of the economy. Many people in our generation are not.
They don't.
So the economy's growing as a concept, this ethereal, amorphous concept of the economy, right? This monopoly money, these stock charts, this unreal economic concept. Economy's going up. But who's seeing the growth of that? Not the everyman.
Only the rich. Yes.
And when we say rich, you know, what might come to mind is like, okay, the millionaires.
No.
What is $1 million in 2025?
I would be talking specifically, and I'm really rounding numbers here. This is not scientific.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the people 10 million and up.
That's people with real money, right?
Yeah.
Are making a shit ton more.
Yes.
Which in an ideal scenario, you know, I'm not opposed to wealth creation. I think it's great. I think you should get rich. In addition to that, ideally, if the economy is growing at large, you would hope the nation itself, every participant in the nation is seeing some elements of that, right?
That's right.
And then we don't want to kill each other in that scenario.
And then we don't want to kill each other
or kill ourselves, right?
There's a line that, you know, you get all these moments in here and little lines stand out, right? Maybe they don't to people out there, but like I'm in here with the person and they'll say something. I'm like, ooh, and it just kind of burns there. I remember my friend Matt Kemenash back in episode 43 was telling me, he's like, you know, inflation at 10%, people are mad. 15%, they're really pissed off. They're complaining. They're voting more. They're doing this, that. 40%, they're in the fucking streets. He's like, you don't have to know what inflation is. You know what it feels like.
Or you just look around you, right? How pissed off are people?
And that's the thing. When you see these trends that you're talking about continue, where's the crossing point? Where does it happen to where people actually fucking, you know, do the unthinkable and, you know, actually fucking go at each other in streets? You know, and I'm very careful how I talk about that because I think people run to the fucking narratives way too fast and they run to the vitriol and they almost like wish it into existence.
I agree.
But like, that doesn't mean that you should therefore assume that all the problems you're looking at right now that are identifiable problems are automatically going to figure themselves out. No, we have to have these conversations. Then action has to be taken publicly to be like, all right, well, what are we going to do to find a better solution for 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Sure.
You know, because these, like you said, men in their let's take the stereotype right now, men in their mid-20s right now, maybe with a good degree too, they're not happy. And I get it. And
they're mad. They're mad. They're hopeless.
And that's a problem. It's a big problem.
A lot of them are getting no pussy.
Yeah, that's another huge problem too.
That's existential, right? And
yes.
Not to say like, oh, men deserve pussy or whatever. Obviously, you got to earn it in the kingdom, right? You got to present value to a suitor that reciprocates their desire to be with you. With that being said, at a certain point, though, if you're a human man, you have no prospects of a wife or a female partner, let's say, assuming you're heterosexual, might as well kill yourself. Riley, what's the point at a certain point? If you are truly a despondent incel in the corners of the internet and you feel there's no hope, and that's a legitimate belief in your opinion, there's no point to anything.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.